Hey everybody, this is Catrice Bailey from When Models Talk. You are now listening to episode 25 with Des Brown. Hey everybody, it's Catrice Bailey from When Models Talk. So I'm excited because guess what today is? Episode, let me make sure, 25. So I'm excited because I have an amazing guest coming on and your girl got a new wig. Yes, I'm a part of the wig. You know, I just wanted to try it out and I love it because my hair can just sit back and grow. Hey, Des. So to get the show started, y'all know where y'all can find. Check out Spotify, check out Anchor, check out so many different avenues when it comes to following and looking up When Models Talk and the YouTube page. YouTube When Models Talk. All right, so I am going to bring Des in. Hey, girl. Right now, let me try to see how I can figure out how to do it. Let me see. All right, so we can get this interview started.
Hello.
Hey,
we in the building.
You look cute with the blonde.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, girl, this is why I don't have an agent now because this is why I don't have. I said this is why I don't have an agent now because I'm Queen Switch Up, and they wanted me to keep the afro, and I was like,
yes, because you know you can't be switching up hair like that.
I can't.
I can't.
But you know, when it comes, it comes.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, girl. So, let me introduce you real quick.
Thank you.
So everybody know who you are. Okay, so we have Des Brown. And when I say Des Brown is a model, a content creator, a host of Atypical Women's Network. Let me make sure I say that right.
You did.
No, right now. And she's a traveling massage therapist.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, so hold on, wait a minute. And she's not signed. So y'all look, she needs to be signed. I don't understand why. But
I told you it's because of the blonde hair. The Queen Switch Up energy. That's what it is.
You know what you're gonna have to do? You're gonna have to just take mad photos in different looks. Mm-hmm. And then say, okay, so which one did they ask for? When they booked me, what picture did you show?
Which girl did you want? I love it.
Yes. So everybody, please welcome Des Brown.
Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, because when I met you when I was doing when I came to New York. Mm-hmm. And I was doing I was working with Mimi Natural You. Mm-hmm. And I saw you stop me. You was like, so how did you get this? And I was like, girl, let me get you the hookup. Let me tell you how to do this real quick.
Yes.
And from there, it's been like, I've been following you on Instagram, seeing how you doing, and you're doing great. Because I was like, she's just so earthy, you know?
Yeah.
She's got that spirit, that what is it called? That somebody just said it earlier to me not too long ago. That aura. It's just so great.
That's what it is. That's the word.
Like you just want to be connected with her.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I want to be connected with me too. You know, every day is a journey to be deeply connected to self.
Yes. So the first question I want to ask you is, how did you even get into modeling? Let's start there.
So I guess it's not really the orthodox way. I started kind of late. I started when I was 19, and I started because when I moved to Philadelphia, I would always be in Center City, and people would. I'm sorry about that. I'm getting a call. Let me put my.
You got to put on Do Not Disturb.
Would constantly tell me that I need to be a model. They were like, do you model? Where do you model? Who do you model for? Do you want to model for me? Mm-hmm. And so it happened like every single day I would get somebody who would ask me if I would model for them. And so eventually I just thought, let me just give this a try. Let me do this and see what comes out of it. And that's how I started.
That's awesome, because I feel like you get so many people that say you should be a model, you should do this, you should do that, and some people actually don't act on it, but it's great that you actually acted on it. So you know what, maybe this is something I can do, and
Man.
and I'm sure it wasn't 100% because they're saying it, but because it was something that was in you that was like, you know what, why don't I give it a try?
You know that saying, Catrice, where it's like I guess it's not a saying, but it's a story. It's like the person is drowning in the water, and like God, he's asking God for a sign, and God sends them a boat, and they don't take the boat because they're waiting for God to save them. Listen, if somebody tells me 365 times that I need to do something, I'm gonna listen. Like, you don't have to tell me any more times than that, because literally it was like every single day, I kid you not, every day somebody was asking me if that's what I do, if that's what I desire to do, or can I do that for them. So it was like, that's not a sign that I could possibly ignore.
Yes, girl. And I think that's crucial what you just said, as far as that story, which I can't remember the name of the story, but I know what story you're talking about.
I'll talk about.
Because I use it a lot of times when I'm trying to like talk to my kids, or if I'm talking to somebody, like, okay, if you keep on getting the same thing, like how many times I'm gonna have to tell you before you listen? How many times you won't get that boat coming to you?
Listen, it's one good time. It's one good time. And it took me a little while, because if I'm gonna be honest, like when I was younger, people would always tell me that I was pretty, and I never wanted to be a model because there's that perception that models are not intelligent. And it's something that really stopped me from wanting to pursue that. But God gave me beauty and brain, so I'm gonna use both of them.
Girl. Yes,
I'm gonna use both of them.
I know that's right. She said beauty and brain.
Okay.
Let's emphasize on the brain.
Yeah, and charisma.
Yes.
I use it all to get what I need out of life.
I know
that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to use our gifts.
Yeah, and but it's crazy how a lot of people don't use their gifts. They hold back, and it's like, but no, like that's one of the best parts. Not even just, that's just one thing. You have multiple things that's so great about you, but you're refusing to use them. But that's your light.
Yeah,
that's what God gave you to actually say, this is why I put you on this earth. I need you to give that to people. I need you to, I need you to show that part, because that's going to help somebody else. But a lot of people don't do it. I had had a conversation yesterday with somebody about that too. And I was like, girl, everything is just bomb about you. What is going on? Why wouldn't you use that? But girl, yes, beauty and brain.
Okay. That's you too. I love your smile, Catrice. You're beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You know what's funny? Because when I was growing up, I didn't like my smile. I covered it up. Like, if I would never laugh like this when I was growing up.
What?
I always had my face, my mouth covered the whole entire time when I was laughing. I did not think my smile was cute at all.
You was wearing face masks before Corona?
Yeah, made up of my hand. It was made up of my hand. Girl. But it's just how you grow up, the insecurities that are given, not even, I don't want to say given to you, but it's like people create them for you. Like, I don't know what the word or how it is, how I'm supposed to say it, but you grow up and you wouldn't think you're ugly unless somebody told you were ugly growing up. It's like conditioning, like, oh, well, this is what I don't like about you. Yeah. And then you start taking that on. So bring back, because right now, when I say, as I was doing my research, and I was looking at like your Instagram, and the first thing I thought was like earthy, meditation, just like aura, just all good, like just like, and one thing I like about people who are basically like you, it's like something to admire, because you're so in tune to who you are, your mind, everything that goes on, like just in general. How did you get that way?
Okay, so I think realistically, that has always been my energy. Ever since I was young, I've always been a really old soul, very intuitive. I'm the last person to speak, first person to listen. I read between all of the lines. So I've always been a very intuitive, calm person. But I grew up on a farm, and I think that is kind of what played a part in making me earthy. I'm gonna be honest, because you can't grow up on a farm and not be about plants, nature, life.
Girl,
I mean, actually that's not true, because you see where the farming industry is now. Like, it's not earthy at all. But I think for me, that environment, growing up in that environment, and also just always seeking more. I've always been that type of person to just seek more. And I think that's kind of what gave me that earthy energy, honestly.
And where are you from originally?
Like, where was I born? Are we talking about ancestry? Okay. No, I was born in technically Hartford, Connecticut, at Hartford Hospital. If anybody from Connecticut is in this, blow it up in the comments. No, but I grew up in Simsbury, Connecticut.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So going into, growing up on a farm, where did you go? Well, I know I met you in New York, so I'm assuming you lived in New York. How was that time living in New York, and did you explore any modeling opportunities while you were out there?
So I lived in Jersey City. I lived right outside of New York. And I was there. I moved to Jersey City to pursue modeling. But interesting enough, New York took me on a completely different path. I really, really went there to pursue modeling, but when I was going for these agencies and trying to go the traditional route, it really wasn't working for me. I found myself still being a freelance model. And so I did photo shoots, I did small time brands, I went for some larger brands, but my lane is really like an artistic model, a muse. I'm realizing that I'm more of a muse than I am your traditional runway model, because, well, for starters, I'm 5'5", so in the industry I'm under height, and on top of that, I'm a very free spirit. So it's like I said, I literally had agencies tell me, like, okay, well, when you submitted your photos and we were interested in you, your hair was brown, and now you're in front of me and your hair is red, and that's not okay. Like, you can't just kind of keep switching it up over and over again. And I'm just being myself. So I was pursuing modeling, but I was really just pursuing me, my brand. Like, I knew that when I moved to New York, my idea of modeling was to further the idea of getting closer to self and further the message of healing, because they seem like they don't go hand in hand. The modeling industry can be vain. The modeling industry can feel empty. It can feel alone. But in all honesty, like, each and every single model is a human being. Like, we all have light, no matter what has happened to us that has dimmed it. We all have light, and we all experience our versions of reality, and that version is valid. That version needs to be talked about. So for me, I wanted to combine modeling. I wanted to combine modeling and healing, and use modeling as a catalyst to promote the message of healing. So I think when I lived there, I did just that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything you said made so much sense, because there is a lot of vainness. There is a lot of stuff that goes on with modeling. And a lot of, I believe a lot of people have a perception of what a model is. And just like when you talk to somebody who is a pastor, they're human too. It's not always, okay, this is the lane, this is what I got to stay in. The fact that you are like, okay, I know my lane. I know I'm a muse. I'm an artist. When it's not just, I want to be in just any old type of thing and do it. No, it's something for me in particular. again, it's a lane. I don't know the
It's a
exact word.
lane. It's a lane. It's a niche. You got to know your market. You got to know your market.
Exactly. And so in that, how can you make money being a muse? How can you, create, revenue for yourself? Because at the end of the day, you are a business.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you're 5'5".
Yeah. So it's interesting enough because I, as a model, never had an issue with getting paid. And I would say that is nothing but like God, universe, higher power type time. Because as a person who's not signed, who's under height, who's always changing their hair, and who's super duper radical, like I should not be a paid model. I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. But at the end of the day, when something is for you, it's for you. And I think that I just had the ability to market myself, and I never allowed anybody to not include me inside of that process. Like if you ask me to model for you, I ask you what your budget is because that's what I want to know. Because you're coming to me, you clearly aren't working with any agencies. If you were, you wouldn't be coming to me directly. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is your budget? If you don't have a budget, then that's a problem. Do we have a conversation from here? No, we don't. Sometimes
no, we don't.
In the beginning, I built up my portfolio and I wasn't always like super duper business savvy, but I think eventually it was like, all right, I've been doing this for a little while, so where's the check?
Exactly.
And it's just a matter of demanding the check. It's just a matter of, getting myself into positions where I'm leveraging my portfolio, leveraging my energy, leveraging what I bring to the table, leveraging who I know to work with individuals who are able to pay me, work with brands who are able to pay me, work for shows who are able to pay me. So realistically, as a freelance model, is really about just putting yourself in the right position to be able to do that. You have to have yourself branded as that. You can't just be an Instagram model. You can't just be a girl who's out here taking pictures and just posting them on Instagram. You have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy. And people think that modeling is easy, and it's not. If everybody could do it, everybody would be doing it. But it's not easy to bring new energy or breathe life into a dormant article of clothing to really bring something. It's not easy. It's not easy to be photogenic. And so knowing that you want me to model your clothes and you paid the MUA and you paid the photographer, so you just have to know that modeling fee is just right in there.
Girl, exactly.
You gotta know it. That's not a question.
Like, I don't understand why people would think that. I understand there's a lot of girls that do stuff for free because they feel like they have to. When I first started modeling, that was an issue that someone said to me who knows the business. They was like, if all these girls stop doing stuff for free, then guess what? Everybody would get paid. But it's too many people that's wanting to do things for free. I feel like you have to find a balance. I understand the first year of modeling, you're learning, you're trying to figure out stuff. But once you've been doing, just like you said, once you've been doing this for a while, where's my check?
Yeah. And then it's like, money? and then in all honesty, like Catrice is like, you are coming to me. I didn't come to you for this opportunity. You came to me. So you see my worth. You see what I'm able to do. You see how I perform on set. And you see the finished product, and you know you want it, so you might as well just buy it. Because if you want food at any store, you gotta put up your dollars. If you want to eat, you gotta pull up your dollars. Well, if you want this model, you gotta put up your dollars. And if you don't, then good luck creating finessing art with somebody who does stuff for free. Because the quality is never there. It's really almost never there.
And you know what? Just like they say, people will pay for the things that they want. If you really want something, you want to put up the cash for it. So, and I think if we having that business mindset of, okay, hold on, wait a minute. First of all, you came to me. That means you see something that you want. So
and it's that right there.
Day, saying this now, please come correct. If you know that you hitting up you hitting up Catrice, come correct at the end of the day.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about no collab. I don't want to talk about nothing. First of all, I got kids to feed.
Talk about it.
And I got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Especially with Corona. Nobody,
Yeah. Yeah. Especially before Corona. Before Corona, it was tough. Listen, living in New York, living anywhere, trying to be independent,
New York is expensive.
Trying to live off of modeling alone. Come on now. It's really, really, really hard to do. But it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And if we present that energy, people gonna answer. People gonna follow.
And Blue Gatsby said, pay the artist. Absolutely.
Pay the artists. Yes. Because artists make the world go round. Nothing pops without artists. Nothing pops without artists.
Exactly. And I think if you're trying to do something and you have a plan, just come correct. Just come correct with that plan as far as, okay, I don't have a budget, but this is what I'm doing. These are the avenues that I have. This is a connection that I have. Like, this is what they want. All I gotta do is deliver. And this can turn into something big. It's just how you present it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes really how you present it. If somebody presents something that sounds amazing to me, and I'm like, and you know when it's right for you. So you'll be like, okay, you know what? Even if you ain't got no budget, I might just do that. Yeah. Because I really like what you're doing, and I can see where it's going to go. But if you don't come correct, don't hit me up talking just a collab. No.
And there's nothing wrong with collaboration. But if we collabing, that photo shoot better be popping. It better be something that I've never done before, never seen before. We better be flying out to Bali. We on the beach somewhere in the sun, kicking up. I'm enjoying myself. That's my idea of a collab. Like, you have to really be an artist to actually be. Because if not, then it's just you using me for my body and my beauty. It's not a collaboration. If I don't have any say so on what's going on, then it's not a collaboration. You're just using me.
Exactly. And I feel like just basically coming correct, just like you said, coming correct when it comes to, like, have the mood board ready, have like the concept, have everything on point, so that we know what we're doing and how we're going to do it.
That's crazy. That really is it's an industry thing. It's an industry thing. It's not just a me thing. Because I thought I was the only one that people was like, oh, we should shoot. And I'm like, what's your idea? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what are we shooting for? Do you have clothes? I'm styling myself. You want me to show up in my own clothes for free? No.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like, even with me, like, if I want a photo shoot done, I'm going to hit up the photographer that I choose, that I'm going to pay, number one. And I'm already going to have a concept in my head of what I want to accomplish and what I want to do. Mm-hmm. Because it's something I want. Mm-hmm. So if you want me to do something with you, have everything together. Have everything already, like, I shouldn't have to sit down with you and start like, okay, we're going to brainstorm ideas when you hit me up. What we doing that? Where they do that at?
Because at that point, you don't want to collaborate with me as a model. You want to collaborate with me as an artist. And then that's a whole different conversation.
Exactly.
If you want me as a model, then, like you said, you come with the ideas, you come up with the concept, you come with the mood board, you have your MUA established, you have your photographer established, you got hair on set. Don't play games. If you want me as a model, then you want me as a model. But if you want me to be more than that, it's something different.
Exactly. So, getting into so when it comes to because I want to make sure I lead into the right thing. Going back into brains. So I saw that on your even though I just worded that so wrong, but anyway. So when it comes to beauty and brains, and I saw on your Instagram that you read a lot of books. A lot of good books too.
Look at me sit next to a book right now.
Yes. Which one is that one?
This is called Orishas, Goddesses, and Voodoo Queens.
Yes. I just love the cover in general, and then the word.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's the divine feminine of African religious traditions. And it breaks down all of the divine feminines, like every last one of them in African traditions. It's very cool.
Yes, it's called Des Reads.
Des Brown reads, y'all. Y'all gotta
Des
get it.
Brown reads.
All right. Y'all can't be up here fucking about bread and shit.
Yes. So what are some other books that you have actually that you have read or even talked about on your page?
I always go to The Miseducation of the Negro, because that book changed my whole life.
I gotta get that one. I gotta get that book.
I was an Uncle Tom before I read that book, I'm gonna be honest. And then after I read the book, I understood why I was an Uncle Tom. I understood why I had Uncle Ruckus tendencies. I understood why I didn't really love myself. I understood. I just understood what was going on in the Black community, within the Black mind, and then my position, the role that I played inside of that space. So I recommend The Miseducation of the Negro to everybody, because
Miseducation
of the Negro. Yes,
I'm gonna order that book tonight.
Sis, you're gonna be clutching your pearls. You're gonna be clutching your pearls, because you're gonna be like, dang, that was me.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. But I love books about Black philosophy. Like that is what really just like sparked my mind in ways that I could never imagine, because before, I think literature spoke to me in vague ways. You know, I didn't really enjoy reading because it never felt like I was the center. I was never the focal point in a lot of books. I was always the background, or I was always the supporting character. I was always the criminal or the villain. But when I really started to dive deep into books that were written by Black people, Black authors, Black psychologists, Black economists, and just really understood what being Black was about, like, it just changed my whole world. It changed my whole world. It really did. I get excited talking about it. You see me over here.
Because right now I'm like in this whole, I really love books about, you know, first of all, I love urban books, because I didn't like to read. Growing up, I only read a book if I had to. So, but as I'm getting older, I got into urban books, and now I'm reading more spiritual books, like by Bishop T.D. Jakes, and, you know, just different, like his whole Sarah Jakes, just
he's
all
powerful.
that. But I've always wanted to tap more into my Blackness. I wanted to always learn more about that. Like somebody told me to get the ISIS papers. I still haven't read that book until I talked to you, and you was like, girl, the stuff that's in that book. And I was like, I'm a read.
Listen, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is heavy. She is heavy.
And I think it's very important for us to really teach our children about that. Like, okay, so how did you get into those type of books? Were your parents the ones that, you know, taught you to learn more, to get into that? Or was that something that you just did on your own?
Yeah, my parents were the exact opposite of Blackness. They were, but only because they wanted to be like a lot of people. And if anybody reads The Miseducation of the Negro, then you understand that's something that we experience as Black people, where we will try to raise our kids to assimilate to whiteness, because that is what is seen as success in America, and not just America, really the world. I don't know how they did it, but the whole world is kind of underneath that spell. And for me, I think that I experienced an identity crisis because I grew up void of Black culture. And I knew that I was a Black person. And then throughout my life, I kind of just kept getting these Negro checks, where white people would just kind of remind me.
Negro checks.
I did. They would continuously remind me of who I was. And I would try to do things to not look like that, to not be that, to be more assimilated into white culture. But it became empty, because it wasn't who I was. And I don't know what I think that was the first book that I read that really changed my mind, was The Miseducation of the Negro. I'm going to go back to that because I had a lot of self-hatred. I did. I had a lot of self-hatred, but it was because I didn't have people showing me how beautiful Blackness was. It was like the media, my history, everybody was telling me that I was this negative energy, that I was this negative person, that I was, you know, descendant of a slave, and all of this bull crap that's not true about who we are. And I just had to find out for myself because nobody else was giving me that information. So I had to go seek it for myself. And once I finally got it, nobody could take it away from me. Like now I'm at the point where it's just like, you couldn't convince me otherwise. I am who I am, and I'm just growing in power within that. So it wasn't something that I was raised on. It was just something that came to me because it was my purpose for me to find that. And then also like I looked for it deeply looked for it. And once I found it, I just kept diving deeper and deeper and deeper into it.
But you know what? It gives me hope because I know after we had a conversation, and one thing is I have children that are way, as far as skin tone, is a whole lot darker than mine. So when my daughter looks at me, she's looking at somebody that's a whole lot lighter than her. And I have to sit there and I have to have a conversation with her. I have to be mindful of what I put up around her. So she knows more of, okay, my Black is beautiful. Because right now it's a challenge. And I know it's a challenge for her because I know how it is when I was growing up. I didn't consider myself beautiful. I didn't consider myself a lot of things that now I do. But that took me time. But even listening to you, it made me think, you know what, even if I'm not the person that's going to give her everything, meaning books and everything else about her Blackness for her to read, even though I'm going to give it to her. I don't know if she's going to read it though.
You should.
But I'm going to make sure she has access to those type of books. So when it's time, maybe, hopefully, I pray that she's diving into her culture, not just taking what people are saying and believing it, but actually finding it out for herself. So I think it's great that that's what you did. You know, even though your parents weren't giving you that, because again, we had a conversation previously, and I was trying to figure out, because I interviewed somebody, and that's something their parents never gave them, and that was access to their Blackness. They didn't have that conversation. And you were talking about the fact that sometimes it's fear. Our parents went through that process. So talk about that a little bit as far as why some parents don't teach their kids about their Blackness.
I think that in America we've had, not even I know that in America there has been a history of, if you are proud and Black, you are a threat. If you are proud and Black and you want other Black people to be proud and Black, you are a double threat. You are literally deemed as a terrorist. If you look, the FBI right now has a whole section called, what is it called? It's not coming to the top of my head, but essentially, if you are a Black person who exercises your rights as American, you own weapons, you want to own land, you want to grow freaking seeds, you want to grow your own plants, if you want to be sovereign and just live your rights as an American, but you're Black, you're seen as a terrorist. Literally. That's what it's called. It's called the Black Identity, what is it? Black Identity Terrorist Group or something like that. I'm sorry, it's really escaping me, but it's right on my tongue. But either way, essentially, if you're Black in America and you know who you are and you spread the word, you're a threat to white America, because white America wants you to be white. It's all about assimilation. The whole world only operates the way it does because they kind of convince us that we need to be more like them in order for them to be able to survive. And so our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, they saw lynchings. They saw Martin Luther King get killed. They saw Malcolm X get killed. You know what I mean? They saw Assata Shakur get followed. They saw the Black Panther Party destabilized. And within that instills so much fear within themselves to want to stand up, to want to make change, because we see that literally for them, that means death. We know that that within Black Wall Street, us just trying to keep our dollar within our community, like every other nation or every other race, ethnicity inside of America, it means our demise. They want to burn our cities down. They want to bomb us. They want to do all these really, thank you, Black identity extremists. Thank you, Kenneth.
Let me write that one down.
They really just try to suppress our identity, our pride and Blackness. And so our parents raise us to be not that. They don't want us to be radical. They don't want us to be loud. They don't want us to go to the riots. They don't want us to be in those spaces because it would mean that we would be subject to rubber bullets or real bullets. It would mean that we would be subject to getting hosed down or potentially being lynched on the way home. And built up these walls around our Blackness, around our identity, around our truth, so that we could live and be comfortable inside of America.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. But it's so much truth to everything you just said.
Yeah.
Because fear does come in. It comes in immediately when you think about your child and the possibilities of them getting hurt going outside. Even when they were doing the whole everything when it pertains to Black Lives Matter. And it's like, you want to be out there, but some parents are like, no, you're not going out there.
Okay.
Like,
a lot of parents were like that.
Get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt. Like,
a lot of parents were
so
like
much
that.
To it.
And it's such a sad fear. Like, we're literally just people to exercise our amendment to freedom of speech. We have that right to be able to say what we like and what we don't like. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to look for a charge. Y'all see me rolling around in here. We as human beings should just have the right to speak our minds and speak our truths and be ourselves. But like, I don't know, white America is so afraid. Like, they're so afraid of change. They're so afraid of like being taken over and run over. And that's not like, it's not what that means to us. When we say Black pride, it doesn't mean anti-whiteness. It really just means Black pride. Like, we can have our success and you can have yours. And we as Black people can really live in peace within that. But it's not the same for them because they want to conquer us. They want to colonize us. Like, that's what they feel like they have to do in order to exist here. So here we are.
Wow. I know Blue Gatsby said that's what Dr. Joy talks about in post-traumatic slave syndrome. Our former generation has not unpacked the safety measures they installed to protect us. So we just assume them to be a way of life. Wow.
So true. So true. So true. And to second off of that, I just think about how when I was a kid, I always wanted to wear an afro. I was just asking my mom to let me wear my natural hair. This was before natural hair was a trend. I just wanted to be me. Like, I loved the way it looked on me. And because I lived in a predominantly white area, my mom made me get a perm at a young age because she wanted me to assimilate to what the world saw as beauty. But
to fit in.
It perpetuates self-hatred. It's like, back then we had to do these things in order to survive, in order to live. And even today, I always go back to the wrestling match. I know y'all seen it, where the referee had the audacity to cut off that boy's dreads just so that he could fight in the wrestling match and stuff like that. You never seen that? Girl. No. I watched that and it made me cry. It literally brought me to tears because I'm like, even to this day, y'all are still so intimidated about who we are. Even to this day.
I didn't see it. Now I'm gonna have to go watch it because I didn't see that.
Well, get your Kleenex ready.
Off his hair.
Get your Kleenex ready because it's a tearjerker. It's a tearjerker. Wow. It didn't make no sense. He could wrestle without having to be embarrassed in front of that whole entire gymnasium of people. They really did a whole Samson on him. It was like his hair was his strength, and they just wanted to cut it off.
Wow.
But
that's crazy. Now I'm like, okay. That's crazy. But I'm just happy we have people like you on this earth that's unapologetically I'm gonna say it right, unapologetically themselves, that will allow other people to actually have the courage to do the same. Because I think when you see someone like yourself saying, okay, no, I'm happy about my blackness. I get mad when I'm like, why would you want to be black? I get mad.
It's not, listen, the whole world, we see how the whole world reacts to us. Like Asian people, Asian culture, dog. You go to Japan right now, you will see Asian girls with faux locks over there hip hopping, bebopping, doing the pop and lock. Like they wearing bamboo earrings. The whole world wants to be Black America, if I'm being quite honest. The entire world wants to be us. And I hope that one day, someday soon, we will all understand the miseducation of the Negro, and we will understand how we have been duped. And they've stolen our birthright, essentially. But it's really just a matter of us opening our eyes and standing up, and it's ours.
You know what's funny? What you saying that? Because I was listening to a sermon, and it talked about, I can't remember who exactly in the Bible it was, but the guy, it was two twin brothers. I believe they were twin brothers. And the brother came in the house, and I guess he was extremely hungry, but he had a birthright that his brother wanted. So he said, all right, if I feed you, I want that birthright. Give that to me. So I think he thought about it for a second, and then he was like, all right, well, I'm starving. Here, you can take it. So he took it, but the other brother was so upset because he took it that they kind of, I wish I knew which one it was.
I knew what you're talking about. The brother, he put on the fur because his dad was blind. Something like that. His dad was blind. He put on the fur so he could be like he was hairy, like his older brother or something like that.
So.
Like the firstborn. I know what you're talking. I don't remember the story completely, but I know what you're talking about.
But
yeah,
when he did that, so the brother, I think one went far away. Like it was like this huge thing. But when he came back, the other brother was scared, who stole the birthright. He was scared. But when he came back with love. He wasn't really coming back to tear his brother down. He came back with love. But if anybody know which sermon that is, or what,
Jacob and Esau.
Yes,
Look at you. Look at you. Pulling up with the info, Jonathan. I love it.
I don't remember every single thing, and now I gotta go back and listen to that again, girl. But it kind of reminds me of that. And I think if we understand our power as Black people, I think that's something that we don't understand. And I think that we have to pass this stuff along to our kids, because if we actually do what we're told and pass this stuff along, so our kids get this information, generations will change. It will not be like it is every single time, where people are forgetting. Stop forgetting what's going on. Like the fact that we just had this go on this year, we got to remember this. This is not something we can forget.
Yeah.
Because we need to tell our next generation, our kids and their kids, so we can continue to push forward. Because if not, we just going to be dealing with the same thing, talking about the same thing year after year.
Facts. And I think that we lost our power when we stopped telling our own stories. When we started allowing them to direct our movies and to be like ghostwriters in our music and stuff like that, when we started allowing them to control our narrative, that's when we lost our power. Because how can I say that I saw the color purple and not know a piece of our struggle? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's something simple like that. But as long as we continue to write our stories, as long as we continue to be the narrators of our truth,
absolutely,
it will always be there. It will always be set in stone. But what is our duty as people is to introduce our kids to those stories, because when I was young, I never saw the movie Rosewood.
Girl,
but if I was young,
every time I watch it,
if I was young and I hadn't seen the story Rosewood, I would have understood my position in America from then on. From then on, I would have had a better understanding of what my life was going to be like and what I was supposed to do if I had been exposed to that stuff. And sometimes it's like, yes, we need to allow our children to be children, but in America, we're not treated like that even when we are children. I've had interaction with cops when I was young where I was being violated as if I was an adult.
Wow.
And the world sees us as if we don't have a childhood. The world sees us as if we're more mature than who we are. And so I think if we are able to arm ourselves with our stories, with our truth, not just the hard stuff, but the beautiful stuff too. You know what I mean? Like, I think the whole power within like a story like Malcolm X, you know, his parents being a part of a Garveyite, his parents being a Garveyite, his mom getting killed by the KKK, or his dad getting killed by the KKK, and his mom going crazy because of everything that she had experienced in America. This man was a criminal at first. He was doing petty crimes and wasn't really about anything. But when he went to prison, he literally read his way. He educated himself to be the Malcolm X that we know today. And I think that that is the most powerful story because it just shows how our knowledge, us knowing who we are, us being exposed to our truth, will take us from a petty criminal, what was his name, Detroit Red, to Malcolm X, the man that we still talk about and admire today. His legacy, his message still reigns true today. And it's like, it doesn't stop there. Messiahs never stopped back in the day. We continue to raise messiahs, but we have to continue to raise messiahs and see our kids as that. We have to continue to see our kids as that. We have to see them as the truth, as God's gift to earth. We have to treat them as such because going back to what we previously talked about, us living in fear, us raising our kids because we're afraid of that they might get hurt, we're literally minimizing our impact in the future. We're minimizing what our kids can do in the future by living in fear. So if we tell them that they are gods and goddesses at a young age, if we tell them that they came from kings and queens at a young age, if we tell them what they are able to accomplish at a young age, guess what they're going to grow up to do? They're going to accomplish it. If we tell them, listen, I need your imagination to invent the next thingamajigger, they don't know what that is, but they're going to invent the next thingamajigger, and that's what it's going to be. Like, at the end of the day, we all have the capacity to create new life, and that's, to me, that's what the word "we are made in his image" means. If God is God and God can create anything, and God created this universe and I'm made in that image, then that means that within this space I can create anything inside of the universe, and there's no limit to that. The only limit is what I create or what I put inside of my mind, or what my parents put in my mind that I have to overcome. So we got to stop limiting ourselves.
I absolutely agree with 100% of everything you say.
Facts.
And I think as a parent, because of course I am one, so I think it's very important. Like, sometimes I think we screw up as parents. Like, it's not perfect at all.
Because you're a human being. And
like, I remember times where I've told my son things that I was like, girl, what kind of advice did you give your son? Who tells their kid this? So I think I believe it also has to do with but how you were raised, how you were brought up. Because a lot of times people pass on what they went through. So, and it's all about rearranging and changing your mind, renewing your mind constantly, so that you can actually, be better. And then going back to that child and saying, I was absolutely wrong. This is what I should have been teaching you. Yeah. And just hoping and praying they take that and move on with that. But it just reminds me of like some of the things that I could have done better as a parent. But as like me, I like to share. The best thing somebody said one time, the best thing you can do is share your story with your child. If you share the things that you've gone through, the pain, the hurt, the happiness, every single thing with that child, that teaches them. Because sometimes, how someone who is molested as a child, and then they never shared that with their kids, never shared that hurt, that pain, that process, and then comes out 5 years later, their kids are older, and they're having a conversation with their kid like, you don't know what happened to me when I was a kid. Huh? What happened to you? Right. It's repeated, but it could have been stopped in some way. Maybe it could have been stopped in some way, because maybe by you sharing your experience, guess what? That could have had them think a totally different way. Like, hold on, wait a minute. I remember being told about this situation. Let me get out of here.
Yeah.
Let me, change up something that whatever's going on don't feel right. Let me get out of here immediately.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have to, it's our duty as parents to give our children our truth too. I give my children my truth, and then I'll be like, all right, don't be telling everybody.
Right.
Because my kids quick to go, they're like, what talk? I'm like, look, don't be telling everybody what I say.
Right.
Like, that was my business.
I love
because they just had their, because I feel like because I was in a space of being quiet for so long, because I was conditioned that way, I was taught that way, I learned that through childhood to be quiet and not really have a voice, not talk, that when I got older and I had my experiences, I went and I was like, look, I don't want my kids to go through the same thing I went through. So guess what? I'm going to share with them the things I had to deal with. I teach my kids to a fault to be very vocal and speak their mind and say what they have to say. Don't get me wrong. I'll be like, all right, now, wait a minute. Give me a minute. But at the same time, I'm thankful that they are that way because I know that they're going to stick up for themselves. I have kids that will be like, I ain't do that. And you ain't about to accuse me of it and think I'm just going to sit down and take it.
Yeah. That's so important.
It's very important that we pass along everything, especially our Blackness, to our children, especially that. And if you have children that may not look like you, because some people kids don't look like them, and even if your kids are mixed, teach them about their Blackness, please.
Listen, I done had some conversations with some white moms who had biracial children, Black children, and they didn't know the contribution that Martin Luther King had made to our community. Wow. And for the life of me, I could not understand what, like, besides jungle fever, what would even possess you to feel like you wanted Black children? If you don't know what Blackness is, and this is part of the reason why it's hard for me to relate to some white people.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 25 of When Models Talk, part 1. Now check out part 2 with Des Brown.